everyone, and welcome to our DawgNation season kickoff, our very special presentation here from the brand new Kroger Marketplace in Cumming. We're on 5550 Bethelview Road, and I'm Brandon Adams. I've got Chip Towers from DawgNation. I've got Mike Griffith here from DawgNation as well. And guys, I think you would agree, great crowd here tonight, a terrific group of DawgNation readers and DawgNation Daily listeners and viewers, excited Georgia fans for the upcoming season, and a wonderful venue with the crowbar behind us, as they like to call it, and a fantastic shopping facility all around here. What a great night, Chip.
It's always great to set up in front of a bar because you're always going to have that back noise, that you can hear in there. They're having a great time in there in the bar. And this is literally the best looking Kroger I've ever seen. It's amazing. I got lost in here trying to find where we were going to be. A great crowbar and unbelievable crowd here tonight.
And Mike, this is your first ever DawgNation event. You've been at DawgNation now for a couple of months. This is our first time being able to host you for one of our DawgNation events, and we like to have a good time around here, do we not?
Yeah, we do. And I'll tell you, writing is really a solitary profession in business, and so many times you're alone, whether it's in a coffee shop or in my apartment, and now I've got some faces to put out there to the audience, and it's really a satisfying feeling to know that these fans come out to support Georgia to this extent, and the next time I sit down to write a story, this is the image I'm going to have in my mind.
So we're going to have a really good time here. Obviously, I've got Chip Towers and Mike Griffith here. We're going to talk a lot of Georgia football with them, just like we have been with the crowd on hand here at the Kroger Marketplace on 5550 Bethelview Road all night long. Also, in a few minutes, we'll welcome in Jeff Sentell in here. We'll do a little recruiting chat with him. And before we're done, for those of you that are regular, longtime DawgNation readers or your DawgNation daily listener and viewer, we've got a special announcement on behalf of Kroger that we're going to make before we're all done here. So for the next few minutes, sort of settle in. If you get the notification or if you happen to see that we're on video here, thanks for stopping by and checking in. Settle in. Let us sort of prepare you for the upcoming 2018 season for the Georgia Bulldogs here in style with our DawgNation season kickoff presented by Kroger here at Kroger. The beautiful brand new Kroger Marketplace right here in Cumming. And guys, let me start with this if you don't mind. You both are regular guests on my show every day, and obviously you speak to a lot of Georgia fans either online or in person as you're walking around Athens. And I don't think that any question this season's gotten more attention. And Chip, you've been around for a long time. I don't know that any offseason question maybe you've ever gotten more attention than how's it going to play out with these two quarterbacks this year? Yeah. Jake Fromm, Justin Fields. Maybe Kirby Smart gave us a bit of a foreshadowing of that on Wednesday with what he had to say, but you've seen both these guys in practice, both of you. Chip, let me start with you if you don't mind. What do you think is going to happen? How do you think it plays out with these two quarterbacks, Fromm and Fields, this season?
Well, I think we're seeing it play out, and Kirby finally, he didn't really determine the depth chart, but he sort of spoke around it, and kind of confirmed what we've been seeing, that Jake Fromm's going to be your first quarterback. He's going to start against Austin Peay. Now, for the life of me, I don't expect Kirby Smart to come out and say, I have decided that Jake Fromm is going to start, the Austin Peay game. We'll know Jake Fromm's going to start when he's going to run out there, just like the same way that we'll know Natrez Patrick is actually going to play in the first game. He's not going to make an announcement. He's just going to trot out there. And, okay, there's Natrez Patrick. That's just how he rolls. But the real intrigue for me, all kidding aside, is just how do they deploy Justin Fields? When will they deploy Justin Fields? He's the number 2 quarterback. He's the only other one they have legitimately. We found out the Downing kid is going to stuff from Alpharetta is the 3rd string guy, but for Georgia's sake, you don't want to see him unless it's a blowout. So will it be a true blue rotation, or is he going to be the number 2 guy that comes in when the game's in hand? We'll find that out in the first game, but that's the most intrigue for me. We're going to see both quarterbacks all year.
By the way, Dante Eady in our Facebook comment section noticing I'm holding my laptop here today. Listen, Dante, sometimes you go on the road, you rough it a little bit. You're a little bit more, not quite like the studio back home, but trust me, we're all right here at home at the brand new Kroger Marketplace in Cumming. But we do, Dante, appreciate you noticing and checking in on that. How about you, Mike? You've been very provocative with your opinions on Fromm and Fields thus far. How do you see all of this playing out?
Yeah, well, it's a combination thing. The first thing is that Kirby Smart is going to operate what wins games. And first things first is Georgia staying undefeated and winning a national title. So first and foremost, Kirby's going to do what works in the game plan. It's a luxury if you can play 2 quarterbacks. I do think that, Kirby Smart has he started a freshman in 26 out of the 28 games that he's coached. So it'll be really nice for Georgia to have somebody under center that's got some experience, because these defensive-minded coaches like Kirby, like Saban, like D'Antonio, they think defense first. They want an offense to be efficient. They want field position. They don't want their defenses put in a bad position. That's why Fromm's ability to decision-make and keep the team out of trouble is so important. That said, to the point Chip made earlier, Fields is amazing. I mean, I hear music playing when the ball comes off his hands.
Yeah.
This kid's fluid. His arm strength's incredible. He moves great. Now, I haven't seen him against the live defense. I don't know what he'll do under pressure. I'm not sure how efficient he is calling protections or audible. We do know that Jake Fromm can do those things. I think this is going to be a very fluid situation, Brandon. I think early on the game plan is what works the first 2 games. Kirby's doing what he needs to do to beat South Carolina. I think that as the season goes on, this situation is going to change and morph as Fields picks up the offense, as he gets more experience in certain pockets from game to game. Kirby's a really smart guy. I did a story earlier about what he's going to do to avoid a quarterback controversy. Now, if we asked him that right now, he wouldn't comment on it. But he was asked about it in Destin, Florida, back at the start of June in a very innocent way, at a very innocent time by one of his old Alabama beat writer guys, and he answered the question. And, of course, I had the tape running, and so I recently wrote what Kirby said then. This is a long-term management strategy. Number 1, win games, but number 2, keep both of these guys on campus so you don't got some quarterback running out there saying his feelings are hurt.
Chip, I put myself on the spot a little bit earlier this week saying I think that Fields plays in the first half of the South Carolina game. Do you think that Fields will play in the first half of the South Carolina game? Or
I thought you were going to say Austin P.
I think
I agree with that 100%.
He'll play in the first half versus South Carolina.
Well, I remember.
And it's okay to disagree, by the way.
Well, I don't know. I'm not ready to say that. I really want to see. Again, I think this is very intriguing and very important how they handle this, what the plan is. Is it a rotation like we saw with DJ Shockley and David Green, or is it a when needed or when the game's in hand? And that's an extremely intriguing thing. I'm remembering DJ Shockley. A lot of you guys here in the audience might remember coming in when Georgia was having one of their struggles at South Carolina. They played him, I think, every year that DJ was there in the first game as the first SEC game, and that's always just a war for Georgia over there. And DJ had to come in. David Green wasn't having a good day, and he came in and kind of saved the day a little bit there one year. So whether Justin Fields does that or not, right now I'll take the under on that. First half in the South Carolina game, I would say definitely in the first half of the Austin Peay.
That is DawgNation's Chip Towers, also joined by Mike Griffith tonight, doing a great job covering the Dogs for DawgNation.com. My name is Brandon Adams. Thanks so much for being a part here of our DawgNation season kickoff, live from the brand new Kroger Marketplace in Cumming, and this place is beautiful. It's 5550 Bethelview Road in Cumming. It's right there off exit 13. Off Georgia 400, so come on by and see us. We're actually going to be here until 8 o'clock tonight, so if you're in the area, you can come by and see us. Or if you just want to see a beautiful venue with a great Crow bar like what you see behind us, or a fantastic place to do your shopping, Kroger Marketplace right here in Cumming on 5550 Bethelview Road. It's a place to do that. Also, special thanks tonight for Connor Riley, who is really working hard, taking good care of us on the other side of the camera. We appreciate that. And, guys, we talk about quarterbacks. I think the other big topic, made even bigger by what happened on Saturday, is the running back situation. Obviously, we remember that Zamir White goes down with his ACL tear there on Saturday, and now he sort of looked to the future, at least the immediate future for Georgia, that running back position. A lot of fans have been waiting to see Elijah Holyfield for a long time. Mike, I know you wrote a lot about James Cook the other day. When you guys look at this running back situation for Georgia, absent Zamir White, is Georgia going to be okay, or are we going to see a breakout star here? I mean, what would you expect to happen with the 4 healthy running backs remaining, at least the top-flight guys that we sort of think about with Harry and Holyfield and Cook and obviously DeAndre Swift, the Heisman contender? What do you think happens with this group right now?
Yeah, I think the most interesting thing that came out of the interviews with the running backs this week, and something that I didn't recognize and probably should have, is that even though you think about tailback being one position, Chip, I think we've discovered that Georgia actually has 2 different types of tailbacks and actually plays that way, because Holyfield and Swift both said they don't consider one another as competitors. And why would they? Because I think they'll be used differently. You kind of look at the way Swift was used last year. I see that James Cook being used that way this year. I think there's somewhat of a game plan, a formula, if you will. I don't think one size necessarily fits all. I still have a question whether or not Georgia has the guy that can be consistent running between the tackles physically. I mean, they're great players. They're 5 stars. They're fast, 215, 210. Personally, I'd like to see a 235-pound guy back there somewhere. But I guess you can't be too picky when you got 21 5 stars on your roster. But losing Zamir probably cost Dennis. Lost. Did I almost say that? No, I did almost say that word. I think it almost cost Georgia some depth there. I wonder how much Zamir would have really played, but I think now you've only got 4 healthy guys. I'll be interested to see what Brian Herrion does, Chip. We haven't really heard a lot from him in camp.
Brian can play. Brian can play really well, I think. And I don't think it. To answer your question, I don't think it dramatically changes the position at all. Now, for me, and I know for all these fans here, because we were talking to a lot of them beforehand, is that I'm just disappointed. I'm disappointed for Zamir.
Me too.
Just for how hard he'd worked to get back from the other. He was way ahead of schedule in terms of getting back from the last knee injury. And then just selfishly, you want to see what all the fuss is about, because all these guys. Let's face it, when you're 5-star, 4-star, you're coming to Georgia to play running back, they're going to be really, really good. They're going to be exceptional. They're going to dominate whatever league they're in. They're going to dominate whatever high school classification they're in. But it's different when you make this jump. And I just was waiting to see. And so first you have the knee injury, which slowed that down, and now you have a second knee injury that's going to knock him out altogether. But in terms of how he plays, and to Mike's point, how Georgia plays on offense, I don't think it changes that. Now, Holyfield and Swift, they were emphatic. Both of them, like, we're not Mr. Inside, Mr. Outside. DeAndre Swift wants to show he can run between the tackles. And Holyfield, now, we saw it a couple of times last year on, the Notre Dame kickoff return. That 39-yard run, go to YouTube if you want to see a great running back run from all aspects of it. He changes direction at the line of scrimmage, accelerates through a hole, outruns the defensive back to the corner, dives to the pylon. I mean, Elijah Holyfield, he's trying to say, hey, guys, I can do it all. And I think that little competition right there is going to make Georgia good this year between those two guys.
I want to rattle through kind of some rapid-fire questions here for you guys before we say goodbye to you. Let me hit a few comments before we do. Tony Jackson says Georgia's going to be fine at running back this year. Chris Nettle says that he thinks that McCole Harbin at the wide receiver position's going to come through this year. I know a lot of folks are excited about that. James Bryant says he agrees with Mike Griffith that Georgia needs that heavyweight running back. Maybe a big guy sort of emerges there in that spot. Jeff Sanders says that he thinks that James Cook's going to be for real, and that's that name you keep hearing about over and over again. The impact that James Cook should certainly be able to make here this year. It's great to have you with us as a part of our DawgNation season kickoff live from Kroger, and that is that name that you guys both keep talking about a lot. The impact that Cook makes. I think you both have kind of seen that, right?
I like the juice. I mean, all you got to do is watch the highlight film, watch his hips, watch his change of direction, and watch his acceleration, and keep in mind that when you're watching the highlights, you're seeing him do it on the high school fields in South Florida, where 3/4 of those guys are getting FBS scholarships. He's not running away from anybody that's just not good. I mean, to play football in South Florida, the concentration of talent is unbelievable, and this kid dominates, and we saw it at the open practice as well.
All right, let's do some rapid-fire stuff here real quick. Chip, you saw this 2017 defense. You saw the impact that Roquan Smith made, the outside linebackers, Davin Bellamy, Lorenzo Carter. How difficult is it going to be to replace that talent? Can the Georgia defense, led by defense coordinator Bell Tucker, can it be as good again, given the fact that you don't have a Butkus Award winner and, at least in the case of a lot of those draft picks, a lot of talent missing from that defense?
Well, I would say the least of my concerns when it comes to the defensive side of the ball is the outside linebackers. I really like Grant and DeAndre Walker to start with in Georgia, as everybody here knows, and Jeff Santel has told us. I mean, he's just recruited through the roof when it comes to outside linebackers. Brenton Cox, Adam Anderson, those guys are going to be fine at that position. It's inside linebacker because of the difficulty of the position, and secondary that really has the concern. Now, coming in, that's different than preseason camp. I mean, coming in the preseason camp, I probably would have told you I'm concerned about Georgia's D-line, but getting Jay Hayes in and the mix and match that they've got there, the development, I think they're going to be okay on the D-line as long as they stay healthy. Secondary is where I got the concern.
Mike, different question for you, if you don't mind, before we say goodbye to you. I know we talked earlier in our Q&A with our audience here at the Kroger Marketplace and coming about some of those games worth paying attention to for Georgia this season. When you think about that regular season game on Georgia's schedule that could challenge the Dogs the most, is there something that comes to mind for you there?
Yeah, Auburn. Auburn is great in the trenches. We saw them manhandle Georgia last year, and it's a lot of the same guys. Talking to the Auburn players at the SEC Media Days in Atlanta, I mean, that's a humble and hungry team. I mean, you got Florida over here telling you 42-7 wasn't really that close, and I don't want to know what they're doing in Gainesville to have that opinion. But I'll tell you what, those Auburn guys, those cats are humble and hungry, and I don't think they get enough respect. They beat Alabama and Georgia last year. they're going to be dangerous.
Yeah, that's certainly well said. Mike Griffith, you can read him every day at DawgNation.com. Chip Towers as well. Really good stuff as we get close to the start of the season. I've seen so many of our comments on the Facebook section, the YouTube section saying, can it just hurry up and be September 1st here pretty soon? Well, it certainly will be. And these guys will be helping you walk right up to kickoff against Austin Peay every day at DawgNation.com. Have no fear, though, as we get ready to say goodbye to Chip and Mike here and get ready to transition them out. We got plenty more coming as part of our broadcast here tonight. Let me tell you who we are and kind of what we're doing here as we get ready to bring in Jeff Sintel. We are live here at the Kroger Marketplace. It's 5550 Bethelview Road in Cumming. It's the brand new facility. You see the crowbar behind us. Folks have been enjoying a little beer and wine as they get ready to do their grocery shopping. We've also been talking Georgia football here all night long. So if you're in the area, you can either come by and see us before 8 o'clock or just come by and see this beautiful facility as we're going to get ready to bring in Jeff Sintel right here, right now. Jeff getting ready to come in and be a part of what we're doing here. Obviously, Jeff's over talking and doing all kinds of stuff.
You're kicking me out now. You want me to just go ahead and get out of the way?
We'll get ready to say goodbye to y'all and bring Jeff Sintel in here in just a moment. I'll also tell you that if you're watching us live, please make sure you stick with us here because coming up in a couple of minutes, and hopefully as I'm talking, somebody's bringing Jeff Sintel over here. But as I'm talking, I also want to remind you that before we are done, we are going to have a major announcement in terms of something that many of you have been asking about. Kroger has heard you. They're going to provide it for you, at least a chance for you. We'll tell you about that here coming up in just a moment. Special thanks to Mike Griffith and Chip Towers being a part of this with us. And we'll get ready to say hello to Jeff Sintel right now here as we get ready to switch out here and bring in Jeff Sintel. We'll talk a little UGA recruiting with him and do all that with you here tonight live from the Kroger Marketplace, 5550 Bethelview Road in Cumming. Really good stuff there as we get ready to talk a little recruiting with Jeff Sintel. Of course, Jeff has been a very popular figure here tonight, as I promise a lot on DawgNation daily when we do this kind of thing. Jeff can get a little loose-lipped. He can tell some secrets and can kind of let some stuff go, and all of a sudden you hear about some of the unprintable nuggets when it comes to Georgia's 2019 and 2020 classes, and Jeff Sintel, no doubt, another example of that. People want to know the story behind the story, and you've been kind of providing that all night long, have you not?
Well, Brandon, I don't know about that. That stuff, whatever happens in the Kroger crowbar stays in the Kroger crowbar, man. That's the way I look at it.
That's part of the promise for kind of coming out here and being a part of this. You get a chance to hear some things that you otherwise would not be able to hear, but that's certainly really fun. And, obviously, Jeff, as we get ready to kind of get started with the upcoming season, we kind of also, find a snapshot of the recruiting picture for 2019 that's already really very much taking shape. If you look at the 24/7 Sports Composite team ranking right now, Georgia ranked number 1 in recruiting for 2019. I think it's a total of 19 commitments so far for Georgia's 2019 class. I guess I'd be curious to find out from you. After all, this is the DawgNation season kickoff, so let's sort of preview the next few months here. Mm-hmm. I mean, what is still left to do for Georgia's 2019 class? And, what is the likelihood here that Georgia can hold on to that number 1 ranking?
Well, I think really, and this is kind of, Brandon, evolved a lot. Even my answer has evolved a lot because I saw, and I still know kind of what Alabama's going to do in 2019, and you just kind of see how many guys can Georgia get. I know Alabama can sign 26, 27 guys this year because they did not sign a lot of guys last year. Hard to believe, but Alabama had scholarships left to give last recruiting cycle, and they couldn't find takers because that early signing period affected the Tide's plan. And you see how Nick Saban and the crew kind of adjusted their recruiting for 2019 to take more guys before their camps. To me, I think the biggest thing for Georgia, if they're going to hold on to the title, it all comes down to how many guys they can sign. And it comes down to it's going to have to be good news for Georgia among their draft eligible juniors. I mean, nobody wants to wish Bulldogs away, but if Georgia wants to get to 24, 25 men in the class, there's either going to be one of two things. Right. It's going to be attrition, and nobody wants to see attrition with people getting processed or Billy Bobbed. Billy Bob, did that really come from Angelina Jolie and Billy Bob Thornton?
I really don't know.
You would know these things, man.
I don't know where that phrase came from.
The man of the people. But the other thing would be, which is a good way to look at it, would be Bulldogs playing their jockey shorts off and making their way to the NFL. And, there's some guys like Isaac Nauta, Julian Rochester, Tyler Clark, J.R. Reed, lots of guys that could have a big year in the NFL, and Roger Goodell would come calling. I think that's the biggest thing. And you ask, to be very specific, I think the big thing left for Georgia on the recruiting trail is what are they going to do at defensive back? Because they're mega alpha talents, Tyreek Stevenson, the Dream Chaser, Kyer Elam.
What a great nickname, by the way.
The Dream Chaser, huh?
Great nickname.
You need to come up with one of those, man. I don't know if the Daily Llama does that one justice. But you've got all those guys, and then you've got Kyer Elam, another big-time safety out of Florida, and Lewis Seen out of Texas. To me, you want to think about ideal Jenga pieces or jigsaw puzzles for Georgia, what remains in 2019. I mean, besides the names you want me to talk about.
Yeah, Jay Sheltra in our Facebook comment section mentioned Kobe Dean, folks like that. Those are the names that people want to hear in that respect.
Sometimes I wonder if we'd be bringing up Kobe Dean and Clay Webb if they were 4 stars. Maybe if they were 4
stars. Just a 5-star fascination. Kirby Smart said we all got, what did he say, 5 stars in the brain or whatever? That's what Kirby said the other day. I don't mind telling you that's true for me.
What's that popular saying now among guys, somebody wears a nice shirt or a nice pair of shoes, they say you can't hide money.
Yeah, you can't hide that money. Georgia can't hide the talent. It's everywhere.
I guess it means you can't hide those 5 stars anymore, right?
No doubt whatsoever. It's Jeff Sintel. My name is Brandon Adams. Thanks for being with us for our DawgNation season kickoff. We're live here at the brand new Kroger Marketplace in Cumming, 5550 Bethel View Road, a beautiful spot, beautiful venue. We'd love to have you come on by and see us before 8 o'clock tonight, or when you're in the area, just stop by and see this phenomenal facility, whether it be the Crowbar behind us or the great shopping venue all around. This is unlike any supermarket you've ever seen before there in that regard. And, Jeff, as we also think towards September 1st, the first home game of the season, and what's going to be happening in Athens this year, one of the things that fans are going to notice when they go into these games is a little bit of a new look for Sanford Stadium. The players' entrance is going to be different, not on the east side anymore, coming in from the west side of the field. That's going to be a new look. You'll see recruits kind of congregating in a different area now, but you also see the fruits of how recruits respond to the purpose of all of this, which is that brand new recruiting facility underneath the bleachers there in the west end zone. What kind of impact do you think that's going to make on Georgia recruiting? We will obviously be reading a lot of these recruits from you there at the Sintel Intel every day. They'll be giving their impressions, what they've seen. Many of them have already seen it. What is the West End Zone facility? Some of the people watching us right now, some of the people who are with us here at the Kroger Marketplace in Cumming contributed to that cause. What are these Georgia donors going to get for their money here?
Well, to me, there's 2 schools of thought that we'll have to see what's going to happen here. The one guy is going to sit there and they go, oh my gosh, Georgia recruited so well with a locker room that's maybe as big as 2 aisles here at Kroger, at the Kroger bar here in Forsyth and Cumming. And they're going to wonder, they had so many great recruiting classes, number 1, 7 5-stars. If they can do that, what are they going to do with $90 million in facilities now, and the new locker room and the new everything you would ever ask for, the new recruiting plaza? It's going to be different. Recruits and their families. Grandma doesn't have to sit in that hot sun anymore.
That's right.
She can sip an Arnold Palmer or sweet tea lemonade combination. She can look out across the veranda and see the dog walk and maybe picture her grandson maybe making that dog walk one day. But then the other thing, and this is maybe where I would weigh in on, I think a lot of players, they don't come for stuff. They don't come for black jerseys, even though that's pretty hard to believe. They don't come for great locker rooms and great facilities. They come for that chill they get when they line up between the hedges. And either you feel it or you don't feel it. And I think even though Georgia is eliminating every reason why in a dead heat race that someone would choose an Ohio State or someone would choose an Alabama over Georgia, I think what the program has to sell right now is still very strong, regardless of that locker room.
Shane Bentley in our YouTube comment section was saying that the Crowbar there behind us makes him want an ice-cold IPA right now. Well, listen, that's what a lot of folks have enjoyed here at the Crowbar. We've had a great crowd all night long hanging out for our DawgNation season kickoff. This is, I guess, the 3rd year in a row that we've done the DawgNation season kickoff. It gets really more fun for me each and every year. We've given out a lot of T-shirts tonight. It's just been a really cool experience. So if you couldn't be with us tonight, many of you may be watching from too far away to kind of get to us tonight, although we have had folks traveling in from Chattanooga and Florida and all points in between. We just really appreciate those of you who've made a way to be here, and we'd love for many of you to be at one of our DawgNation events coming up really soon. And you know what? You can have yourself an IPA like some of the folks are enjoying at the bar behind us here at the Crowbar tonight. All right, so let me kind of keep the focus on the 2019 recruiting here for a moment. And, one of the things that we're going to see, Jeff, is those visitor lists start to form, right? I don't know, if Austin Peay is going to bring out the big names like some of the other games might, but I know that, we've already seen some rumblings and some talk about this. What can we expect in terms of a visitors list here kind of coming together for Georgia very soon?
Well, Brandon, you're going to catch me with that one a little bit. I would say that these are the official visits to have on everybody's radar, or the unofficial visits to have on the radar. You're going to think first off about the Tennessee game.
Yeah.
That's when Lewis Seen will make his Georgia game, another appearance on the campus. There's a lot of warm and fuzzy juju going on right now between Georgia and Lewis Seen. And also what's going to be very interesting is his recruiting wingman, which would be Ryan Trouble Davis. He has told me that whenever Lewis Seen makes his trip to Georgia, he's there, because he's not going to let Lewis Seen go anywhere else except to Georgia.
It was one of the most fascinating pieces of audio we've played for you. We did it on Before the Hedges, presented by Kroger a couple of weeks ago, when you're right, Ryan Davis was very, very clear that that's sort of the assignment he's been given, Lewis Seen, and he wants to make sure he plans that visit at the same time. Gives you an idea. I mean, we know that Davis is a big-time player. The fact that he's sort of prioritizing Seen sort of validates what Georgia fans, I think, already believe they know, which is that Lewis Seen, as an uncommitted player goes, is a pretty big-time target for Georgia, too.
Big-time target. He's that safety I don't think they have in the class, about 6'3", about 190. Trains under Deion Sanders there at Trinity Christian. No stranger to 110-degree practice temperatures over there in Cedar Hill, Texas. That's very interesting. And, Brandon, I know you wanted the name, Nakobe Dean.
I did want to hear about Nakobe Dean.
Nakobe Dean.
Always. I never get tired of hearing about the five-star linebacker from Mississippi.
The five-star linebacker just outside of Memphis proper. Yeah. He's going to make his visit to Georgia. It is an unofficial visit to Georgia, I'm told, for the Vanderbilt game.
And that word unofficial there is good news, right?
Yeah, because he's going to come back for his official visit later.
Yeah.
And then, that's the main thing to think about. I think this year is going to be really interesting for 2020 visitors. I think it's going to be very interesting for the last part of the 2019 class. I mean, here's another neat little wrinkle. Guys like Xavier Truss, guys like John Rice Plumlee, those guys have never been at a game in Sanford Stadium before. Rian Davis is another example of that. And some of these stout, very, very hard-nosed commits we'll be seeing Sanford Stadium for the first time. And now everybody's going to sound old in a few years when they say, I remember when they ran out of that east end zone. Mm-hmm. And now you run outside the west end zone. And, one little thing, I don't know if this showed up in our coverage, but a really great recruiting element Georgia did was in that new recruiting plaza. They've got a stock market ticker, like a ribbon that goes around that thing. And what it does, it doesn't talk about your daily viewers on your podcast, Brandon, although that's a pretty big number. It talks about Matt Stafford and his career earnings. It shows Charles Johnson his career earnings. It shows A.J. Green and his career earnings. Justin Houston his career earnings. And that's a constant reminder that Georgia fulfills professional dreams for big-time players.
All right, we're going to get ready to wrap up here in just a moment. And when we do, I've got a major announcement I've been wanting to make here on behalf of Kroger. I'm really excited to tell you about something that many of you have been asking about. Before I do that, though, I'm also getting screamed at in our comment section to make sure I bring up one more point with you. And that's a look ahead here a bit to the 2020 class as well. And we talked off the top of at least our conversation together. Georgia's already laid a lot of the lumber down for its 2019 class. And the 2020 class, boy, there have been some rumblings. I know we talked about this on Kroger's Before the Hedges on Wednesday. A lot of this now starting to come together a little bit, at least in terms of some whispers about some big move in the 2020 class. We know that Jamil Burrows is going to make his announcement on Saturday in honor of his mother's birthday, as you've explained to us. This 2020 class, hard to ignore. There's some real whispers out there about some of the stuff that could be going down here. Justin Rogers' name comes up in the comment section. That's a guy facing a tough choice maybe sooner rather than later. You're hearing a lot on this 2020 class, are you not?
Yeah, Saturday's a day that McEachern and Brandon, I know this is going to check off another list for you. You're banging the table. I want to see those top 5 defensive linemen.
Yeah, I do.
And you say, I want to see him in Athens right now.
I do.
Jamil Burrows fits that bill. Number 4 overall D tackle, number 67 prospect overall out of McEachern in Powder Springs. And Brandon, I know this may sound repetitive and it may sound delicious to Bulldog fans and DawgNation, but it seems like every year Georgia one-ups its previous classes. And that 2020 class, I think, has the ability to be special, and it has the ability to be special everywhere. Offensive line, defensive line, quarterback, running back. it's going to check off all the boxes, I think, right now.
And, of course, the best place to keep up with whatever happens with the 2020 class as it comes together, those final spots for 2019, and all those great visitors coming to Georgia games this fall is with the Centel Intel every single day at DawgNation.com. A great way to participate in our DawgNation season kickoff has been to have Jeff Centel talking a little recruiting here right now at this beautiful Kroger Marketplace in Cumming, Georgia. Now, speaking of Kroger, before we get ready to say goodbye to you, I am so thrilled to make the first announcement of many about something that's going to be going on in the month of October that so many of you asked about, wanted to know about. You've said, BA, are we going to do a DawgNation invasion again this year? Is DawgNation going to invade Baton Rouge? I'm thrilled to say yes. There will be a DawgNation invasion of Baton Rouge in the month of October as the Dogs get ready to head into that state, Sportsman's Paradise, come out with a win against LSU there that day, and you've got your chance to be a part of it. Our friends here at Kroger are going to give away a trip for two to be a part of the DawgNation invasion with us. Registration begins tomorrow. We're going to talk a lot more about this on our Before the Hedges show on Kroger's presented by Kroger on Wednesdays. We'll tell you more about that coming up this Wednesday, but just know that there will be a DawgNation invasion to Baton Rouge. Kroger's going to give you a chance to win. That's coming up very, very soon, so make sure you stick close to DawgNation.com. Stick close to Before the Hedges, presented by Kroger, the recruiting show that Jeff and I do every Wednesday afternoon. This is going to be a big one. Kroger wants you to certainly give you a chance to win being there, and you'll get a chance to enjoy that really soon. For Jeff Centel for now, though, for Chip Towers and Mike Griffith, in behalf of the entire staff here at DawgNation who've helped us put the DawgNation season kickoff on, thank you so much for being with us on the screen. For those of you who've been watching, for the cast here of our friends here in the room, we certainly appreciate that as well. I'll see you tomorrow morning for DawgNation Daily Live. Jeff Centel will have you with the Centel Intel, and then in Athens very soon for kickoff. It is just around the corner. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks for being with us here around DawgNation.